English took its first steps away from its tribal roots with the revival of Christianity.
Nu I schulen herian, he often reaches weird. Methodes mikte and his mood gethunk.
Let us praise the King of Heaven, the power of the Creator and his conception, the work of the glorious Father who created every wonder, the eternal Lord.
He often to groeven, halig schipend.
In 597, the monk and prior Augustine led a mission from Rome to Kent. Around the same time, Irish monks of the Celtic Church were establishing a presence in the north. Within a century, Christians built churches and monasteries. This is St. Paul's in Jarrow, parts of which date from the 7th century. Faith and stone weren't the only things the Christian missionaries brought to the country. They brought the international language of the Christian religion, Latin. Latin terms became part of the English word hoard. Altare became altar. Apostolos became apostle. Mass, monk and verse and many others all come from the Latin. This would become a pattern of English, the layering of words taken from different source languages. And from Latin too, the English took their script. The Angles, Saxons, Frisians and Jutes, who would become the English, hadn't brought script as we know it with them, but runes. The runic alphabet was made up of symbols formed mainly of straight lines, so that the letters could be carved into stone or wood. Those were their media, rather than parchment or paper. Though this is a short poem, most examples of runic writing that survive suggest runes were mainly used for short, practical messages or graffiti. The Latin alphabet was different. With its curves and bows, it allowed words to be easily written using pen and ink onto pages of parchment or vellum, which, gathered together into a book, could be widely circulated. Christianity brought the book to these shores. Verbum, the word. Soon a native culture of scholarship began to flower, a culture based on Latin and on writing. The magnificent Lindisfarne Gospels were created in the 8th century on the island of Lindisfarne, just off the northeast coast. A few miles south, at the monastery of St. Paul's in Jarrow, the great English monk and scholar Bede, born and educated in Northumbria, began writing the first ever history of the English-speaking people. He wrote, of course, in Latin, the language of scholarship. The prevailing language among the people was still Old English, but Latin, this powerful medium, was now amongst them. Now, Old English was written down, using the Latin alphabet, while retaining some of the old runes as letters. From the 7th century, we find English itself written on parchment in a language and a script which we can just about recognize as our own.
Father user thu arthin hiofnu, siga halgad noma din, to kumath richa din, si willow din swa is in hiofne and in eortho. Chlaf userne of wislich selos today, and forgive us schulda usra, swa we forgive on schuldgem usem.